Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Stephanie and today we are back with another mukbang. Woo! And also, thank you to Baksu for sponsoring today's video. Wait, okay, give me a minute first because I'm about to show you guys all the goodies from Baksu. But first, let's talk about this cheese. I really went through a lot for this cheese. Look at it. It's the stretchiest cheese that you will ever find in your life and it's getting hardened, so I gotta speed it up. So we have some mashed potato cheese. I'll explain in a minute. And then we have some spicy crawfish Chinese ramen noodles. We have these Japanese dinosaur eggs, which is essentially an egg inside of a pork cutlet that's been deep fried and then covered in sauce. We've got some takoyakis, some chicken sandos, a steak sando, and then all of my delicious Baksu snacks in the back, which by the way, I want to go to Japan so bad. I have been talking about it for years now and it's just not happening for some reason. So this is my way of getting a taste of Japan. I am not the biggest fan of snack boxes. I'm just gonna be honest with you, okay? I like the snacks that I like. I know exactly what I like. But Baksu is different. They're just a different breed. They source rare snacks from all over Japan. They partner with family businesses in Japan to create signature treats that you just can't find anywhere else. It's one of those packages that I get so excited to come to my door. Literally when we get Baksu, our tradition is to throw on a show. Right now it's the boys and we will snack on everything together. And literally I take pictures of the ones that I love so that I can order it again on Baksu's market. I will order one specific snack in bulk. Okay, so they have a version of this seaweed snack, but it's yuzu flavored. I order it in bulk because I have never experienced a snack like that. And we have so many people coming in and out. That Baksu snack, it's gone in like a second. So if you guys are new to Baksu, you get the Seasons of Japan box first. And then every month after that, you get a different themed box. So this month's was this. It's the Manatsu fruits. I already took like a sneak bites of like everything. I think I finished a whole bag of something. That's why there's a little less on here. Okay, I think one of my it's just an experience. One of my favorites was the Sakura box. They had a matcha box, so good. And it's also a really cute gift to others. And if you have a partner or a friend group that loves food as much as you do and I do, this is such a cute thing to do together. So if you guys want to try some rare Japanese snacks with me and support Japanese family businesses and support this channel, click the link in the description and make sure to use code BIS to get $15 off your first Baksu Japanese snack box. That's code BIS, linked in the description to get $15 off your first Japanese snack box. And thank you to Baksu for sponsoring today's video, and let's give them a paksu. That means clap in Korean. You know what I mean? Did you like the pun? Did you like the wordplay? Let's get into the food. I'm so excited.
Okay, so what do we do with these mashed potatoes?
Okay, so it's like mashed potato, but cheese. I think I used like 2 blocks of mozzarella cheese.
Whoa.
Also, I'm lactose, which...
But it's mashed potatoes.
Exactly, so it should be okay. So I'm just gonna add a bunch of ramen to this spoon. And then I'm going to add a dollop of... Oh.
Look at this.
Just wrap it around. Okay. I don't know how I'm gonna...
Look at this, guys. This is the infinity pool. How is it?
Wow.
Is this ramen weird?
It's so good.
It's like a crawfish ramen?
Oh my god. I don't think I've experienced a better combo. The creaminess, but I'm so glad I used these noodles instead of a different ramen because the tightness, the smallness, the thinness of this noodle is almost cooked al dente, perfect. Mixed with the smoothness of the mashed potatoes, they're soulmates. They were meant to be together. You try to separate them, we're gonna have a problem. Okay, I'm gonna try this chicken in the wasabi mayo.
Okay.
Okay. I have a riddle for you.
Okay, I love riddles. They
Wow.
call me the king of riddles.
They call you the king of riddles? Who has called you that?
Oh.
Wow.
What is that? Wasabi?
Oh, it's so good. You're gonna die. I don't even have words right now. Okay, we're gonna try the sando. This one is the, oh, you gotta take that one. I'm sorry, I have to take the steak one because pork and I are not friends. Okay.
Shall we dip it?
Yes. Wait, let me wrap it. I need to focus on the wrapping. I'm not wrapping the sando. I'm wrapping my chopstick. I don't know what's going on.
Can I have that like jelly thingy?
Mmm. Mmm. Wow. So good.
Can you show them this?
Mm-hmm.
This is insane.
Okay. That is from Boxer. I got a little booklet. I got a little encyclopedia of all the stuff that's in today's box. This one is the white peach jelly.
Oh, just tear it apart.
Yeah. Just tear it up. Oh.
Wow.
I was not expecting that. I was expecting like a mochi or something. Oh, it's juicy. Oh, it's leaking. It's leaking jelly juice. Mmm.
Wow. This is so delicate.
And it doesn't even, I don't even know how it got shipped like this and didn't break.
It doesn't even taste like, it tastes like it's made from some very authentic method. It just tastes really, really authentic and
There's
clean.
real white peaches inside.
It tastes so high end.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
like
know
the
how to
bougiest
describe
thing
this.
ever. I'm eating this one right now. The cream center of this is rich chocolate and a small sour citrus fruit native to the Ohita prefecture. When would I ever freaking try something like this? There was a guy, probably in his early 20s, and he was scared. They're coming for him, and he didn't know what to do. So he goes into his little room in his apartment, turns off the lights. It's pitch black. He lights a tiny little candle. The shadows are dancing on his walls, flickering in the candlelight. It was creepy, but he had to do what he had to do. He grabbed a tiny little book, and every single word on that book, it almost felt like he needed one of those, my dumbass was about to say
Flashlight?
Microsoft, a magnifying glass. So dumb. Okay, he needed a magnifying glass, okay, to read the tiny little words off of his tiny little book. And he sat there, hunched over in this pitch dark room, only illuminated by a tiny little candle, one flicker of a candle. And he read and read and read and read all night until the sun came up. What was he doing? Huh? What was he doing?
Studying.
Why would he study like that? Why wouldn't he turn on the lights? You don't think that's weird? Like,
He's poor.
what? Why'd you get so dark all of a sudden? Sir, was that necessary? Don't give me that. So in China, when I didn't, do you have a reason?
At night he's reading with a magnifying glass?
He's not even using a magnifying glass. He doesn't have one. So he's literally just reading a tiny, but he has working electricity and he's not poor. He can turn it on.
But he's reading in the dark. Why is he reading?
All night. In the dark. Without turning the lights on. Squinting his eyes to be able to read. I forgot my skewers for the takoyakis.
Is the wife sleeping or something, maybe?
Do you want to know the answer?
Yes.
Because you're never going to get it, okay? This story is interesting because it coincides with a large number of young people that were visually impaired in South Korea. All of a fucking sudden, out of nowhere, a ton of young men were visually impaired and South Korea was confused. What just happened? Why is there an explosion? Is something going on that we need to be concerned about? Why are our young guys the future of, not that guys are the future, I'm talking the young generation of the future, you know what I mean? Why is, half of the future of our economy and the future of our freaking country visually impaired? And nothing is wrong with being visually impaired. You can live very successful lives, but like, is there something that we need to be concerned about? Because the spike was alarming. The guy was avoiding the Korean army. The freaking kundae. Oh, today's gonna get juicy. Yeah. So, the guy has a Korean army test tomorrow, a physical exam to make sure that you are physically, mentally capable of joining the Korean army, right?
Yeah.
So it will just suddenly drop your ability to see. Like your eyesight goes to shit temporarily the next day. All night, just the flicker of a candlelight reading tiny little characters on a book.
Oh, it will mess up your eyesight for one day.
Yep, like for a day or two, temporarily, and it's a sharp decline. It's like you literally have the worst eyes ever for 2 days.
Wait, so when you have bad eyesight,
Yeah.
you can't just wear glasses?
No, it's like really bad to the point where they can't join the army. If you just have like regular bad eyesight like you and me, you can join the army, right? And you're like, okay, that doesn't make sense. I mean, I don't understand. But if you guys have been keeping up with the news, I feel like this is in a lot more international conversations now thanks to the rise of K-pop. But prior to it, nobody was talking about it. Nobody was talking about the freaking Korean military except my dad, who talked about it a little too much, right? And today, I'm gonna give you guys the lowdown.
You need to have him here because he will have a full-on mukbang. Just
listen,
explain to you the trauma he went through.
He's too brutally honest. I feel like South Korea would be pissed.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
He really hated it.
Is that the thing that he complains the most about?
And my mom.
And your mom, okay. So your mom equals to Korean army. Okay.
Look at this. Look at how beautiful this looks. Can you see? There's like a filling on the inside.
There's something on the inside?
Oh. How do they make it so soft? My dad would tell you all about the military. And I feel like we don't really think about the military every single day if you live in the US. It just doesn't really cross our minds, which is a privilege in and of itself. But unless you have a friend or a family member in the army, you're not really thinking about it until you're about to board a flight. Because let me tell you, every time I'm about to board a flight, I'd be thinking about it, and the gate agent is like, now boarding all military active duty personnel. And then that one active duty member passes by in their freaking uniform and their boots, and I'm like, oh my god, I start panicking. I'm like, do I say it? Do I not say it? Is it too corny to be like, thank you for your service? Right? But then I never say it because social anxiety, and then the timing is lost, and then you curse yourself for not showing your freaking gratitude. Anyway, in South Korea, there are hundreds of thousands, if not a million or more people that are not in the military that think about the military every single day. And you're like, where the fuck are they flying? No, it's because there are two ways to expand a country's military or their Department of Defense. In the US, we have a very costly recruiting system. So right now, guess how much it costs to recruit one new soldier a year? Oh, these are so good.
How much it costs just for a trainee? Oh no.
Just to get someone to join the army to be trained.
$300? What, that's a lot or little? Too little?
Yeah.
Oh.
$300.
Really? Huh.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about advertisement, right?
Mm-hmm. Cost per customer acquisition or whatever you guys call it.
I don't know, freaking $1,000? $5,000?
$15,000. Bro.
What? Are you kidding me?
There's like signing bonuses. There's recruiters whose little job in the army is to recruit people.
Oh my god, no wonder the military expenses are out of this world. Holy.
Listen, you're not getting the right salespeople, I think. I'm just kidding.
Wow. Wow.
He's so mind-blown. $15,000 to recruit a new soldier, and they're trying to recruit, and that's just the initial cost of getting them. You still have to pay them a monthly stipend, and I'm not complaining that we pay our freaking people who serve our country. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying the number is kind of wild, right? And I think they try to recruit about 200,000 new soldiers per year. So I can't even do the math.
200,000?
Yeah.
Times
I don't even
15,000, honey.
I don't think my phone can do the math.
Oh, it's only $3 billion.
But that's just to recruit. That's not to pay for their housing. That's not to pay them their annual salaries.
Okay. Yeah.
That's not for weapons. That's literally just to be like, hey, you want to join our little cult? I'm just kidding. Or do you want to join our little team? Right?
Yeah.
Which, side note, the U.S. military levels are down. Every year, there's less and less people joining the military. And apparently, Congress is very stressed about it. So, like, send your thoughts and prayers to our congressmen. Most countries are like the U.S. They try to recruit new soldiers into the military or they wait for volunteers to enlist. But there are about maybe, I'm going to say like 20, 30 plus countries. They don't wait for you. They don't try to negotiate with you on pay and the benefits and a signing bonus. No. They force you to come to them. Welcome to the world of military mandatory conscription service. And today we're focusing on South Korea. It's interesting because in South Korea, any guy between the ages of 18 to 35 years old, from ordinary people like fucking Taehyun from down the street, all the way to the top celebrities and actors and like the future doctors of their generation, they all have to go to the army as long as you're a dude 18 to 35. And if you get caught trying to avoid military service, it's a huge scandal, and you'll probably go to jail for even longer than your military enlistment, which is about 2 years on average. I personally knew a lot of people growing up because we lived in, I grew up in the States, right? So I knew a lot of people that would move here. So they have dual citizenship, a lot of dudes. They're like, oh, I have my Korean citizenship and I have my American citizenship. And nearly every single guy that I knew dropped their Korean dual citizenship so that they wouldn't have to go to the army.
Okay.
Yeah, it's that bad.
So nobody went.
Technically, Den had dual citizenship at one point because he was born in Korea.
He dropped it.
Everybody drops it. It's like a common thing for Korean Americans.
Expose Denton?
No, because he's an American citizen. What is there to expose? You know?
He was born here?
He was born in Korea. That's why he had dual citizenship. I think my brother's going to the army though.
He's going?
I don't know.
Why?
I asked my mom. Okay. He felt really guilty about dropping it because, unlike Den, he came here a little bit later. Den came here when he was like freaking a baby, right? So I feel like there was some sort of connection that he wanted to keep with Korea. Yeah, I don't think he dropped his dual citizenship. I gotta ask him. Which means he's gotta go then. If you don't drop it, you gotta go.
Just like that. Just like that. We just met him.
You just met him!
We just formed a bond. He's supposed to film a mukbang with us now.
We can do 부딪히게 army stew before you go. Okay, hold on. Let me get into it. These snacks are so good. Ooh, you want to try one of these? This little cracker. Oh, I mean, it's gotten so bad that Korean parents will try to vacation around the time that they know that they're having a son. So they find out early in their pregnancy, it's a boy, right? When they get closer to their due date, they plan a vacation like 2 months in advance because you can't fly when you're like 8 months pregnant, right? So they don't want their son to be born on Korean land because hopefully they can get a citizenship in whatever country they were born in so that they don't have to go to the army. It's that serious. Listen, getting enlisted into the Korean army is like the end of the world for a lot of people. And I don't blame them. Every year when more Korean men are sent off to mandatory army sentence, it's like a K-drama comedy. For us, for them it's not funny. It's not funny at all. If you ask my father, he said for a full week before you get enlisted, they sit around just drinking soju. All of them. And all of them are like, you be good, okay? No, you be good. You look after yourself. Then they literally sit on the street, full on sobbing, wailing, with a soju bottle next to them, just chugging it. It's a lot. And then when you leave your family, okay, again, put in the eye drops. My dad said, he was like, Mom, Dad, take care of yourself. Have a Den's mom, have her watch after you, okay? You gotta take care of Mom and Dad now. Eat well. Don't forget to take your daily walks. 사랑해. 보고 싶을 거야. He literally said, it's that dramatic. Like, you think that there's an active war going on. And you look down at your little brother and you're like, you're the man of the house now.
I thought you said, you're next.
My dad said he felt like he was gonna go off to die. I mean, I don't think that anybody likes it. Nobody is jumping at the chance. Everybody just does it because it's the law. So why is it the law when literally all the citizens and all the K-pop fans hate it so much? Okay, they're willing to vacation in a foreign country for months to try and give birth in a place where they don't even speak the freaking language? What kind of mom actually wants to do that? Who would want that? So long story. South Korea has a bit of a history of forced military service. Apparently it started in the olden days during the Joseon dynasty, but now it's more of for the reason of, you know, North Korea.
Oh.
Yeah. After the war, South Korea was very proactive in making sure that they had a massive military reserve force. So to put it into perspective, South Korea is really small. I don't know if you guys can even point it out on a map if you're not into K-pop or you're not Korean or maybe you're not even Asian. South Korea has the same number of people as like the state of California. The population is 50 million citizens, but they have 5 million people in their military reserve. That's a lot of people.
Wait, how many?
5 million. So that means
50 million people?
Yeah.
And 5 million of them are soldiers?
No, 5 million of them are active duty reserve, or active duty or reserve. So they're like ready to fight. They know what to do, right?
10%.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it might seem paranoid, but like we've seen what the Kims are doing upstairs. They're like nuclear girls. They'll sink the whole peninsula. They don't care. And disturbingly, North Korea has never given up the idea of unifying Korea under the rule of the Kim family. So that's why it seems like they won't get rid of the mandatory military enlistment, even though there's the argument of like, well, America really loves South Korea and like they have troops stationed there, but apparently there's not as much as there used to be. And who knows, when it comes down to it, it might just be every man for themselves. You just never know. So let's talk about the process. Once you turn 18 and you're identified on your birth certificate as a male, your military service is going to come into effect, and you don't have to enter the military right away at 18. You can delay it until you turn 28 years old. So now for idols and famous people, they'll usually wait until the very end, till they're like 28, right? Because it's going to negatively affect their career. But normal citizens, they'll usually go in their early 20s. So it's all about timing. You shouldn't go right after high school because then your college admission goes to shit. So you need to get into college, but then the best way to secure the rest of your college degree is to do about 1 to 2 years. Get ahead of the curve. You're already in that studying mode. Then after 2 years of college, they go to the military. Then they come back and graduate college and then head into the job market. Now, if you went right after graduating college, it's hard to get back into the workforce when you just had a 2-year hiatus, right? If you go to the military after you already have a job, you're gonna not have a job when you get back 2 years later, right?
Yeah.
So it's all about just timing
Figuring
it.
out, what's like the best,
Yeah.
maximize your
Exactly. So it's
return.
usually in the middle of college. And it's kind of sad. They said, like if you like a girl in college, 2 years later when you're back in college, she's already graduated and has a big girl job and thinks you're a loser.
Oh, I thought you already have a baby.
She's married, has kids, moved to Florida. It's over for you. It's so sad. And they don't even pay you. When you join the army, they give you at most $300 to $500 a month. The US, it's said that even the lowest ranking soldiers probably earn more than $1,800 a month. Not to mention, there's probably more benefits in the US Army, and in Korea, you're not even allowed to use your phone or your freaking computer.
Dang, so no contacts.
No contact. South Korea's military is also very long. It's like top 4 in the entire world. North Korea is the longest. 10 years, mandatory for all men.
Oh, I thought North Korea is lifetime.
I can't be laughing at this.
Sorry.
5 years, mandatory for all women. And then it's Israel, South Korea, and Singapore all coming pretty close for guys 24 to 36 months. And it's really hard to get out of military service. Like, you have your usual exemptions. If you're not able-bodied, if you're terminally ill, if you have a serious chronic illness, if you're diagnosed with a mental disorder that results in psychosis, because who cares about depression and anxiety? Who cares? Then you can get out of the military. But there's also some really strange exceptions. So for the longest time was if you have more than a third of your skin tattooed, you can't join the military.
A third of my skin tattooed. First of all, how do you measure that?
They skin you alive and then they put it down on a table. They're like, damn it, he could have joined. He's dead now.
Number 2, why don't everyone just get their skin tattooed?
Because it's worse to get your skin tattooed.
Then go to military.
Yeah, because Korea's really crazy about tattoos. They're getting better. Some of the best tattoo artists I've seen online are in Korea now, but
Yeah.
back then, oh, it's bad. And it's still kind of bad. Like, my parents are shocked. at
So
your
to
tattoos.
get... Wow. I mean, I would have just gotten tattooed.
Me too. If you have a doctorate's degree or above, you don't have to join. But you have to get your PhD before you're 28, which is really hard to do.
Are you serious? I didn't know that one.
Yeah, and apparently, if you have your doctorate's degree, and it's very specific. I think you can't have like a doctorate's in like something that they don't deem to be good enough. And even then, they'll try to put you in like an academic service. So you don't actually go to the army, you work for the government for like 36 months. And you still don't get paid much, right? So it's just, you have to be like the smartest of the smartest to get qualified for something like that. But then the opposite is true. If you haven't graduated over elementary school, you don't get to go to the army. Because they're like, I don't think you got I don't know. They're just being rude at this point, okay? So this is where it gets interesting, though. If you've also made a huge contribution to the country, meaning if you're a world-renowned South Korean violinist, pianist, ballet performer, or if you're an athlete that won a gold medal in the Olympics, you don't have to enlist. Silver medals don't count. Being second means nothing. Welcome to an Asian family, okay? What's funny is that the Olympics thing was a newer law. So prior to this, South Korea was winning not a ton of gold medals, like not a ton. And right after this went into effect, the next Olympics, so many guys were winning gold medals. It was the motivation they needed, apparently. But it's still not a lot of people. According to some statistics that I could find online, it seems that only 900 athletes so far have been exempted from the Army. So you can't just be a regular athlete. You gotta be the best of the best. Which, I mean, for someone like me, I think the Army is easier than becoming a top athlete in an entire country.
Yeah,
Are you kidding
obviously,
me?
yeah.
So we can't avoid the Army. We go. So what's your life like in the Army for the next 2-ish years? It's said that the typical day in different branches of the military start at around 6:30 a.m. There's a morning roll call, then breakfast, and the rest of the day is just heavy military training. I'm talking physical exercise for 5 weeks of training. This is some of the most intense experiences people said that they've ever had. You are yelled at constantly. You don't have a voice. You don't have an opinion. You don't have a name. You're a nobody. You can't do anything but what you're told and nothing else. If you're ordered to do something and you even so much as hesitate for 2 seconds, they will catch you on it and you'll probably be punished. Everything's new. There's a new way to eat, a new way to talk. Everything is new in the Army, and you better be quick to pick up on these new rules. So after that, every day still continues with physical intense exercise and sometimes really bizarre specialized training. There was this guy who came out to the news, let's just call him Kim. And Kim said that he served 2 years in the Korean military and his whole experience was miserable. He hated every moment of it, every second of the Army. He felt trapped, isolated from society, just waiting for time to pass. He didn't see a single person in 2 years that actually wanted to be there. Not one single kid that was like, you know what, it's not that bad, guys. Like,
Not
it's
even the trainer,
probably not.
the higher ups.
He's like, I'm trapped here. Do you know any good tattoo artists?
They still do the tattoo thing?
I don't think so. Well, someone got arrested for it. Like right before he was due, he was just getting like these wild tattoos. Dragons all up in his back, and they were like, we're gonna be petty. Now you're tattooed for life and you're going to jail for not 2 years, which is what your military sentence would have been. 3 years, motherfucker. Yeah.
Damn.
The laws are ever changing, so all the exemptions I talked about, other than the obvious ones, they keep changing it because people keep finding loopholes. So the laws are ever changing with the military. And I'm sure that there's probably a law right now, and then it's gonna get covered up. Not covered up, but like fixed. He said it feels like you're just living this free life, having fun, doing what you want, and then suddenly you're isolated from your friends and family. You have no contact. You can't even have your phone. And basically, you're sacrificing 2 years of your youth for the nation. Anyway, one day Kim wakes up and he saw that he was scheduled for a chemical attack training. So they're like, what? I mean, I guess it kind of makes sense. They're all given these military gas masks, led into this room where a superior is just standing in the midst of the fog, waiting for them with his own gas mask. Nightmare fuel, nightmare fuel. He's like,
welcome to chemical attack training. Take off your mask.
they're looking around like, did you hear him? So one by one, they're like, maybe it's just like mist. Maybe it's like a smoke machine, right? They take it off. The superior kept his mask on. That should have given them first clue, right? Immediately, Kim said all hell broke loose. It felt like 1,000 needles were pinching you, grabbing your face, stabbing you. And whenever you tried to inhale, it felt like you were suffocating and swallowing your mom's sewing needles, but like thousands of them clumped up together. Everybody starts grabbing onto each other, trying to find some relief, like, right? It was utter chaos. Nobody knew if they were gonna live or die, which, I mean, in hindsight, they're not just gonna like kill you, right? But the gas did not have any permanent or long-term symptoms. It just hurt like hell in that room. And for however long, they had to just put up with the pain. Kim remembered one recruit running to the door, trying to get out, and the guard is like, no. They can't even get out. It was just utter chaos. Kim said that there was also a lot of brainwashing that happened. Well, not brainwashing, I don't know. He's confused and I'm confused. He said he doesn't know if it's brainwashing. He said that South Korea was very scared of North Korea. Not scared of North Korea, but scared in the sense that North Korea still remains a threat to Korean life and society. So there was a lot of prepping for that and a lot of importance put on North Korea. Yeah, but he said that the whole experience was horrible. And if he had to pick one thing that he learned, is this. There's a saying in the military that stuck with me. It's if you can't make it work, make it work. Okay, so yeah, that's some of the training in the military. Now let's talk about the real important topic, of course. Are they fucking eating army stew every day? I need to know. The answer is disappointing, to say the least. It's a resounding no. They don't.
What about tteokbokki?
No.
What about-
Okay, I was about to enlist as an American citizen and all if they had tteokbokki, if they had the freaking all of that. But these are some pictures taken by soldiers that were released secretly to the internet. It's so bad. There is like a pile of rice, a tiny pile, some soup, the tiniest little, like a little mound of green veggies, and 2 pieces of fried meat, like probably this size. It was so bad, there was a freaking Facebook group where people would anonymously just post their secretly taken photos of the horrible army meals. And they would just shit talk in the comments, like, can you fucking believe it? This is all we had. It was pretty bad. There's always a lot of internet outrage when another army food plate goes viral, because it just looks like everyone is being heavily underfed. But it's said that nothing, the bad food, all of that, doesn't compare to the hazing.
Hazing in the army?
The abuse. Oh, there's hazing in the army, honey. There's hazing here in the army too.
Personally, just not didn't grow up in America. Like,
Yeah.
What is hazing all about? Why hazing?
It's like it's supposed to, okay, let me give you the devil's advocate answer. I think that people do it because under the disguise of it's supposed to build camaraderie.
But you can build it through like a friendly way, like a team
Yeah.
bonding. No? A dinner together or play a game. But they believe like trauma builds connection.
Yeah.
We should start doing that.
Haze people into our house?
Yeah, like your brother or Wei.
How would we haze them?
I don't know. Tell me, what do Korean armies do?
Illegal stuff.
Oh.
So illegal. Listen, I knew someone who got hazed personally. They hadn't eaten an entire onion.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and stuff like that. Okay, the hazing is apparently really bad. Don't kill me, South Korea. Allegedly bad, okay? Now, my dad said that his most vivid memory growing up was, like, not me being born or my sister being born or anything to do with us. His most insane memory was he was being forced to walk up a mountain at night by himself in complete darkness in like rural South Korea. So there's like nobody there, no street lights, nothing. And he hears a bunch of animal noises. He hears other noises. He was so fucking scared that he didn't do it. He didn't go to the top of the mountain. He was supposed to go up to the top to like one of those guard things and relieve the next soldier from the guard duty. He didn't do it. He said he got jumped. He straight up got jumped.
When he got back.
Yeah, like a bunch of people literally stood there and beat him up. Yeah. He said that's how it is. It's wild. Some news reports came out in South Korea, though I mean, it seems like the hazing hasn't gone anywhere because, just listen to this. New recruits said that they were forced to eat flies, they were verbally abused, beaten up, and even sexually assaulted.
No.
In 2014, a soldier was beaten to death by higher-ranking officials. They even had rubbed this irritating cream onto his genitals. Yeah, it said that there's a ton of humiliation, beatings, verbal abuse. I guess everybody just kind of accepts it because they think, well, this is how we get toughened up in the army. But it just led to more suicides in the army. One soldier said that all of the new recruits were woken up in the middle of the night and the seniors came in with this axe. They cut down branches from a tree that were as thick as the recruits' arms, and they started beating the recruits with it. He said, and I quote, one stick had a sharp point, and one guy, I think his brain got damaged by it, because he blinked, and all of a sudden he was like stuttering, and he wasn't there.
You gotta be shitting me.
But it's not just some rogue older soldiers that are torturing the recruits. It's literally everyone, starting from the top, trickling down to the bottom. In 2017, a huge scandal broke in South Korea. It was called Slave Gate. A 4-star general by the name of Park Chan-ju, he lived in this massive house in Korea where he would bring soldiers to his personal home, not his military quarters, his personal home. And he would bring them to their house and they were supposed to cook, clean, and practically do whatever general wanted. He would ring a bell. The soldiers would have to rush to him and do whatever he said. They were constantly beaten, verbally abused, humiliated. They even had to cut the general's wife's toenails. When this got exposed, everyone in South Korea was enraged. Like, how is this serving the country? How is this preparing in case some shit happens? Like, we know how to cut toenails. It's literally just utter humiliation for utter humiliation. It serves zero purpose whatsoever. And like, I know this sounds dumb, right? It sounds horrible for everyone, but it's especially horrible for K-pop idols. And not because I'm like trying to be a stan, right? And it's not even because they have to leave their fame behind and put their careers on hold for 2 years. Which, side note, is honestly hard because let's say you're going to be an engineer. The job market is hard and it sucks and it's competitive, but you take a 2-year pause. There's still a lot of openings for engineers, right?
Yeah, you can get back into it.
Yeah, but K-pop is like, it's ever changing. Like, you blink for 2 seconds and it's a new group in power. Like, it's just...
Do people ever like come back?
There's very few, a lot more nowadays, but in the beginning,
imagining it still, it's not gonna be the same.
Yeah.
But then it also does bring to the table of like who qualifies. Let's say some K-pop idol, let's say they get some sort of special treatment. You know, like where do you group them?
I think there were talks about generating income, like generating profits for the economy that wouldn't have been in South Korea. I think that's like, there was talks of maybe that's how they value it, but I don't know. Okay, and so the reason that I'm saying it's worse for South Koreans is, again, not because it's like, oh my god, I love my idols, right? I love my biases, but they've had such horrible experiences. A lot of them report being bullied in the army and spied on in the showers. One of the big incidents included G-Dragon. He was secretly photographed by his fellow recruits, and not just like a pic of him eating his sad bowl of rice, but they took pictures and details of his weight, his underwear size, how many moles he has on like more intimate areas. I just can't even imagine this invasion of privacy as a normal person, but then think about how crazy this blew up on the internet. Because, you know, people couldn't help themselves. There's G-Dragon, it was trending, it's all over the news. Insane. So now South Korea is in talks about how to extend military leave for idols. I don't know if they're going to completely be like, oh, you're exempt. But there's talks because K-pop is bringing a lot of popularity and a lot of revenue to South Korea. There are literally people from my middle school that used to think it was funny to ask me if I was North or South Korean when I told them that I was Korean. And now they're fucking K-pop stans. And that's on character development. I'm not even mad. I am a little. So a lot of new eyes on Korea and a ton of people wanting to visit Korea, like stimulate the economy. I mean, just think about it. It said that BTS alone has been able to bring in $5 billion a year for South Korea, which is insane to me when you think about it, because that sounds like some sort of massive company, right?
Yeah.
But it's like just some nice people and they're bringing in $5 billion. That's literally 0.5% of the entire South Korean economy. What's also interesting, though, is I remember there was a lot more heavy topic about BTS getting an exemption from the military. And most people were on board from what I could see. I talked to my parents about it because I thought it was intriguing, like just a conversation starter. My parents were on board. They're like, what the heck? Like, people love Koreans right now because of BTS. Whatever. Like, let them do their thing. Ironically, all the older guys, it seems like they're whatever, don't care, right? My dad didn't care, my mom didn't care. But ironically, guys who had just gotten out of the army or were about to enlist in the army, it was like this mentality of like, I'm fucking angry that I can't do that, so you can't do it either. They were just so mad.
Yeah, it's the human psychology.
It's the crabs in the bucket. You guys know what that is? Yes. It's the theory. Okay, so if you have one crab in the bucket, it's going to try really hard to get out. And it might actually get out with its strength, you know, just clawing its way out of the bucket when you go crab fishing. But you just have to put another crab in the bucket. And you don't have to worry about them crawling out. Technically, it should be easier because the crabs can help lift each other up and stuff. No. The crabs, even if there's 50, they will literally drag you back down when you get close to the top. It's the crabs in the bucket. Am I going to get out of this bucket by making you not get out of the bucket? No, but I'm gonna fucking do it anyway.
Now you just also make me want to test out the theory. Like,
of crabs in the bucket?
See if one of them actually make it out, you know?
Human psychology is weird.
So you're telling me it's a bunch of 20-year-old dudes
that are really mad.
That's really mad.
I don't know if I would be mad.
Yeah, there's just some people can see other people's... I don't know.
Yeah, but it's weird because I feel like Korean guy popularity has gone up thanks to BTS. Just general Korean
That's
guy
true.
popularity. So like, what you sitting there complaining about? I don't get it. But I could be biased, literally. I mean, I do feel sympathy for the guys that have to go to the army. I mean, imagine just isolating yourself in these harsh conditions in the middle of your youth. Like, everyone is living their lives, you feel like. Everyone's getting ahead with their careers, their passions, and you have to put yours on hold for what? For the shittiest food on the planet that's gonna have you starving at night and your stomach is gurgling in bed, the hazing, the nonstop bullying. I mean, It's so intense. And then nowadays with technology, you get out and the world has changed in 2 years. It's like a different game. The job market is ever changing. It's so competitive. It takes a long time to even readjust into civilian life. Like, I get it. It's miserable. Listen, I've talked to my dad enough. I get how miserable it is. And because of that reason, people are getting more creative on how to avoid enlistment. There is a trend of loopholes that people try to use, and then the government bans it, and then a new trend strikes. The biggest trend was going to school for over a decade. At one point, if you were in college by the time that you were 30 years old, and not just that you kept failing the course, but you were actively studying new things every semester, you could avoid enlistment forever. So private universities were incentivized. They were like, wait a minute, because if we offer unlimited classes to anyone, we get paid tuition, they don't have to go to the army, it's a win-win for both of us, and we'll make a ton of money.
Yeah.
The government caught on and was like, yeah, no, you must put your studies on hold now while you attend the military. So then everyone moved on to the next loophole. In the 60s, on paper, it seemed like South Korea had a really random, unexplainable spike in young men that were visually impaired. Yeah, it came out of nowhere. It was confusing. There was no event or circumstance that caused this massive uptick. Well, according to recruitment regulations, if you were visually impaired, you wouldn't have to serve. So the government started investigating, and it turns out there was a trend online. You go into a dark room, flicker of a candlelight, read the tiniest little book with the tiniest little characters all night long before your exam. It would cause a temporary sharp decline in your vision so that you could be exempt from the military. Other kids went on hunger strikes for months because if you are physically too skinny, then you can't join the military. They say you're malnourished. But like in South Korea, malnourished is like a different standard. Like, yeah. When I go to a doctor here, they're like, oh, you're healthy. You could gain a few pounds. I go to the doctor in South Korea, they're like, I mean, you could lose some weight. So just think about how malnourished that is. Others got super creative with it. They would apply some sort of metal powder that they would buy on their chest. So during their x-rays, it would show up to look like they had some sort of shadow on their chest, which could be similar to someone's scans with tuberculosis. And then lastly, when all of that stopped working, in the 70s, South Korea had a very large number, an uptick of young people experiencing psychosis, hallucination, and the likes. What could it be? Was it that the younger generations were being plagued by mental illness? Was it the East Asian culture of perfectionism that was finally driving people mad? Maybe it was the constant cutthroat competitiveness in the country that had them by their throats. No, it was a bunch of dudes trying to avoid enlistment and acted like they heard the devil calling their name from down the fucking hallway. So the government started cracking down on these little fakers. And then in early 2000s, there was another trend. Young men suddenly were obsessed with having massive tattoos. Tattoos of dragons going around their backs and coming around to the front and licking their nipples. Roses and thorns, like just everywhere on people. Were tattoos a trend? You know, even on TV right now, a lot of celebrities have to cover up their tattoos. So what was going on in the early 2000s? Yeah, that loophole. Where if you have 1/3 of your body tattooed, you don't have to join the military. That's why guys were suddenly getting tattoos. But the government was pissed off. They already hate tattoos. And now a bunch of guys are getting it to avoid the military. It was like a double slap in the face to the South Korean government. So to make an example out of it, the government arrested a bunch of dudes, sentenced them to 3 years in prison for trying to evade the enlistment. It's getting harder and harder to fake a reason to be exempt. Technology's getting better. Diagnosing of mental illnesses getting a bit better. So people just started resorting to straight up self-mutilation. People would cut off some of their own fingers, pull out some of their own teeth, use dumbbells and weights to tear muscles and dislocate their own shoulders.
Are you kidding me?
In 2014, a guy went viral for going to the hospital and begging them to castrate him. Because if he didn't have a penis, he wouldn't have to join the military, was his train of thought. The government was so pissed off, they arrested him for trying to escape military service.
So he did it to escape military.
Yeah. And I feel like each time a regular civilian is arrested, it's a moment of like, they shouldn't have done that, you know? But it almost has a what the fuck edge to it. Like, you can almost relate. But the minute an idol tries to evade military service, suddenly these same moms, suddenly these same dudes who are trying to evade the service, it's game over. They're ready. One actor tried to avoid the enlistment by using fake urine to prove that he had some sort of kidney disease. He was caught and his popularity plummeted. All of his sponsors, his brand deals, they pulled out and just, yeah. Under the public pressure, he joined the military, and the only reason he kind of salvaged his career afterwards was because he had outstanding marks during his service. Another celebrity tried to avoid by continuing their studies nonstop, which I don't know. People thought it was weird. You know, they were just kind of mad at him, like, just go to the army. So he went, and after 6 months, he was let out for an injured knee, and everyone was mad. A public poll showed that 80% of people didn't believe that he was actually injured. And his popularity plummeted. Oh, this one's wild. A guy named Steve, he was like a really big rock singer at the time. And 3 months before his enlistment, Steve out of nowhere announced that he was dropping his Korean citizenship and getting a US green card and flew to the United States. Everybody was so pissed off. I mean, it was so obvious what he was doing, right? The people petitioned for the government to step in and do something, and in the end they did. Steve was permanently banned from entering South Korea ever again. They banned all of his songs, removed all of his albums from the shelves, everything. Everyone called him a traitor.
Oh my god.
Fast forward, 10 years later. 10 years, not 1, 10. That's a lot of years. Steve's father-in-law in South Korea passed away. Steve got on his knees on South Korean television. It was filmed in the US, but broadcasted in South Korea, I believe. And he was apologizing, begging for forgiveness. He just wanted to go back once to see the funeral with his wife. South Korea did not forgive him. He was not allowed back in. So, it's just wild. I think now South Korea is trying to make some changes in the army reform, if you will. They're trying to extend a lot of the idols because they are generating a lot of revenue and they are keeping South Korea alive and like in the news, let's be real. But now they're trying to help the people in the army. Once you recruit, you can have access to internet cafes.
Yeah, I think that's like a better idea.
Yeah.
Like, you can still make it work, right? Just treat them better. Yeah.
You get access to internet cafes. You can go see your family and friends. You can go out sometimes. Not all the time, but sometimes, you know. Bit more freedom. I'll tell you, my dad doesn't care about BTS. Oh, he cares, but he doesn't care if they go to the army or not. He just always says they're better off like for South Korea if they're not in the army, right? Like it's better for South Korea, just overall, South Korean people, South Korean culture, South Korean popularity, everything, right? But then sometimes I'm like, oh, da-da-da-da did this. He's like, because you didn't fucking go to the army, that's why. He genuinely thinks that's what makes you a man is to go to the fucking army. And I'm like, what did you learn from the army? And he's like, nothing. I'm like, what is that then? What are you saying? Like, what? So, I don't know. It's weird. What are your thoughts on this? Do you think it's interesting? Does your country have enlistment? Do you think it makes someone a man? Like more, do you think it makes them grow up fast? I don't like saying, does it make them a man? But do you think it forces them to grow up? Or do you think it just traumatizes them?
I have no idea. I imagine it has to like teach you a thing or two, right? Of discipline.
You guys have to check out Boksu because what is this? It's so good. Let me try this one. And then we gotta go. Well, we don't have to go, but I don't want to annoy you. Okay. Ooh. Oh, that's good. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.